welcome back to the reading vlogs. It is Monday. I haven't read anything physically yet. I haven't finished a romance. But yeah, Mondays are always days where I don't really get around to read. I don't even know why, it just plays out that way. I did, however, finish my crochet garland, the leaf part. Obviously I have to do the wisteria flowers still. But yeah, this is how much I got out of two yarns held, like two skeins held together. Yeah, it's not perfect. They all curl in like weird directions and in different angles, and some leaves are on the same side even though they're supposed to be on different sides and stuff like that. But as my partner said, leaves in the wild outside also don't look perfect. So we're gonna go with it. I'm really happy with it. I'm gonna take a little bit off of that project because it is really boring because you are crocheting the same thing again and again. So before I will continue with the second garland or more of the flowers, I will take a little bit of a pause on that project. This week I'm gonna have to rearrange the bookshelves. I'm already like halfway through. I started that today. I'm not gonna do like a complete rearranging, but I am gonna shuffle a little bit of things around so every book has a place again. So that is what I need to do. And then the second thing I need to do is clean up and organize the hallways and the stairs in my apartment because I need to get this apartment under control. Yeah, I have a little bit of like rearranging and stuff to do and just get the chaos under control because there's just random shit everywhere. I don't know where it comes from, which annoys me. Yeah, so those are the two like main things I need to get under control this week, which you know, after last week I'm pretty positive that I'm gonna get to that. So yeah, that is what I'm up to. I'm gonna do a little bit more cross-stitching today. I will show you tomorrow, so we will have a little bit of like a bigger cross-stitching update. And then I will continue with the Brandon Sanderson book tomorrow. And for tonight, I already looked up a couple of romances that I might want to read. So we'll choose one of those and hopefully it's better than what I chosen the last week, which didn't work out quite so great. So yeah, we're gonna see and try to get a little bit of a better start with the romance this week. Okay, I'm a little bit more awake today, which is nice. Let's start with reading. I haven't finished a romance novel, but I am in the middle of one that is like kind of weird but like kind of sweet at the same time. It's about like age play thingy, and the daddy one can't lactate, which like weird thing, but like I don't know, they're cute about it. So I'm gonna take it as it is. Maybe I will find out to finish one. It's only 100 pages, so you know, it's also not super long. But yeah, I'm getting desperate with romance. But what I did do, finally, is I actually read the next two short stories in Tailored Realities by Brandon Sanderson. I think this collection is really interesting because it seems like he put stories in here that he didn't really know what to do with, but that he liked and that the people who read his blog liked and wanted to see more of, or at least see them published in some kind of like a physical way. Because there is like always a postscript after the stories which explains a little bit where the stories are coming from. And I read the first one of the two is called Brain Dump, which is a kind of dystopian novel about a couple going into like a showroom where they can like choose the brain that child is going to be having, but both of the couple have natural brains because they are like anomalies. And in the end it's a little bit of like every brain has like kind of a bad trait, and the couple is like, why choose a brain then if we are always condemning our child to having like some kind of a hindrance in life. But like, and like it's a lot about like the way the showroom woman is selling them the brains and like being like, oh, with this one you are 7,000 times more likely, you know, instead of like giving actually actual numbers. And it is a really dystopian story, but I like it. It's short, it's sweet, but like it gives you this like moment where you're like, yeah, that is pretty dystopian here, you know? So I really like that one. And then I read I Hate Dragons, which is a writing prompt originally from him that he turned into a story then. And it is about a guy who runs with a group of dragon hunters, and he's the bait because for some reason dragons just really like his scent. And he is somebody who can see grammar. Like he can see your sentences when you like talk, and he's at all times correcting the guy who's talking to him, and then the dragon is also talking to him and he's correcting the dragon, and it's a funny story. I really like that story. It could be more. That is what Brandon Sanderson was also saying. Like it feels like it should have been an excerpt of like a bigger story, which I'm totally getting, but I think it's funny as it is. As a short story, I really liked it. So yeah, I'm super excited that I really like the stories in this one. They are feeling different from what Brandon Sanderson normally writes, but I really like that. It gives you like a different perspective, and I'm really enjoying that. So I'm super happy that I'm continuing with that one. The next one is called Dreamer, so I'm excited to see where that one goes. So yeah, we'll see. But super happy with this one so far, which is great. And then other than that, I'm more or less just cross-stitching and doing a little bit of knitting, though I'm just knitting swatches at the moment because I want to knit myself like a meshy throw over summer top, and I'm currently experimenting with which type of, like how I want to do the mesh, which I will show you once I have like my experiments worked out. But currently I'm working on my Stardew Valley map. I am working on the ocean, but this is the last of the blue thread that I still have, so I will not be getting all of this done. I will probably get to like here or something, maybe like here. So I will finish this blue thread off, and then I know I will need to order more of that one. But I am making really good progress. I can't show you everything right now, but yeah, I have gotten a lot of the ocean done, which super nice. And then I did also get like a good amount done with my Birth of Venus piece. As you can see, like we have now the outline of the, I don't even know what it is. It might be like a window pane type of thing, but yeah, I've gotten to round more of the like ecru color, and then I've gotten the black outline, I would say like halfway done. So this is how it's looking so far, but it is like showing you more how it will look. It is more like a window look, because you then have here like a half circle and then it goes down. But yeah, super happy with my progress with those. So feeling good. Still tracking what I'm doing every day hobby-wise, which is also good. And yeah, I don't know. I fixed a problem at work today, which I'm super happy about. And yeah, I will probably just cross-stitch the rest of the day and maybe do some progress on my knitting swatches. So maybe I can start knitting the sweater tomorrow. I'm not using like a pattern, I'm just making one up because I want like a pretty chill square bodied type of thing, which I don't need a pattern for. But I really need to figure out how the mesh or like lace is supposed to be looking. Don't know what the right thing is, either mesh or lace. It seems to be depending on how you use it, but I don't know. I wouldn't even know in German, but I don't know in English as well. So yeah, that is what I'm doing. Also, I did a little bit of skating today. I am getting better at skating backwards. I'm finally figuring out how that is working. And so yeah, I'm working every day on getting better at skating backwards and not looking totally weird doing it. Though I do still look really weird on skates if I'm not just skating forward. But yeah. So, the day is going good, the reading is good, the crafting is good, the hobbies are good. Yeah, my brain is still scattered, but at least everything else is going good so far, so yeah. Okay, I continued with the next story in the book. I'm really enjoying making my way really slowly through this, so that is nice. The story I read today is called Perfect State, which is a not so dystopian story. Brandon Sanderson describes it as not dystopian because it's technically not like hidden that it's weird. You know, it's dystopian without it being like hidden that it's bad, kind of. He described it better than I can. But the gist of the story is that humans are merely brains now when they are born, and they get connected into a net and get their own world where they can make their own life, and everybody gets a world that is like wired to their own likes, and our main character is like the emperor in his medieval style world, though medieval is relative because like he has a floating balcony, so there's at least like some kind of magic element in there. Obviously like coding as well, because the people know that they are technically people outside of the world, but obviously they're happy that they're in the world because they can do what they want. Like they kind of have to like work their way through the world. Like they come into the world as a child and they have to, you know, make it happen what they want in the world, but it kind of always turns out as they want to. And the story is about what happens when you meet like another human that maybe doesn't want to stay in her world, and going from there, you know. It's kind of a reverse Matrix, is how Brandon Sanderson described it, and it works quite well. It was on the longer side, which I think was good, because there's quite a bit that goes into the story, you know. It was really interesting, though also so predictable. So yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit like, if it was dystopian, maybe it wouldn't have been so predictable. But I like the idea of like reversing the Matrix and kind of just deciding that humanity is more peaceful if we just give everybody what they want. And yeah, it's kind of it's an interesting concept. I really thought it was quite good and thought-provoking actually as well, because we mostly see like the dystopian Matrix-like stories more than something like that, I would say. So yeah, super happy with that. The next one is a little bit shorter. Oh, I read two technically, but the second one, now I remember. The second one is called Probability Approaching Zero, and it is a flash fiction piece. I have never heard that title. It is like a super short story, like it's only 2 pages long. I didn't enjoy that. It's he describes it as let me the fun of flash fiction is what you don't say, so it's just, the story is just implied, and pretty much the whole thing is just two people talking, an alien and human, and what is implied in the story, which like, the concept of the story was actually interesting. I just don't get enough out of 2 pages. So yeah, I don't know, that wasn't for me at all, I'm gonna have to say. Like, give me at least like 10 pages, something I can work with, you know, but 2 pages just doesn't work for me. So yeah, we're gonna continue with the next one tomorrow. I'm enjoying like the slow pacing. It keeps me a little bit more interesting in reading at the moment. Romance wise, I'm gonna have to say I just have different understanding, which I'm pretty sure it is the problem, that I just understand things differently than a lot of the reviewers of romance. But I had like 2, I think, that where people like, I always read the comments with the kind of unlimited books, just to get a feel for like the kings, and if there is like a breakup in the later parts of the book, because I just don't read romance where there's a breakup in there. I just don't get it. It's not interesting for me. So I always read the comments a little bit, because they are pretty useful for the most part. But for both of those books, there was like said like, oh yeah, there's a little bit of miscommunication, but it was done well. And then that the couples were super lovely. But then I read both books, and the miscommunication was like way too much, in my opinion, and super silly. And with one, it was like 2 college guys who are like best friends, and they're like 5. And one walks in on their gay roommates. in the middle of sex, and is then interested in finding out how it is to have sex with a man. And instead of just he implies that he wants to do that with his best friend, but instead of doing that, when he finds out that his best friend is bi, which he never told him, because he never did anything with the guy because he's hung up on his best friend. Both of them don't realize that they have actually feelings for each other. But it is pretty obvious from the beginning that there's more than a friendship there. Both don't realize that. And so the one who wants to find out how it is to be with a guy, even though he thinks he's straight, pushes the other one to pursue a different guy, and then the miscommunication comes from that, which, I'm sorry, but that's super silly. Doesn't make any sense to me. And the other guy he pushes doesn't actually want to pursue anything with the guy because he's into his best friend without realizing that. He just describes it as it would feel awkward towards his best friend, which makes no sense as well. And then the second book was like one of those alpha omega thingies, where there aren't shifters anymore, but like they were shifters in the past, and the guy goes into heat, and then his brother's best friend is there to help him through, and he's his first, and then the brother is like meddling the whole time and is like, no, he's not good enough for you, which, like, how are you befriending somebody you don't think is good enough to be with a family member of yours? I don't know how they choose friendships in these books, because it's not the first book I've read that in, but like, if I choose a friendship, that person obviously, like, I obviously think good things about the person. So I don't know, I would never talk trash about my friends and being like, oh, you're not good enough. Like, what the fuck? And then they keep running into each other and they keep having sex with one another and then going apart and being like, no, we shouldn't do this, because the brother stands in between them, but they keep coming. It was so weird. I was so confused about that, so I stopped reading. With the second one, I'm also not sure if it might have been a little bit of AI in there. At least I feel like, looking at the cover after, like, once I gone back to the reviews, and because I was so confused about the book, the cover might have been AI, which admittedly I was tired when I looked yesterday. Otherwise I wouldn't have chosen the book at all. If I think a book cover is AI, I'm not gonna choose a book at all. But yeah, so those two were really confusing. I didn't get it. And the reviews steered me wrong, which was annoying because that doesn't happen all too often. So I was kind of annoyed about that. So hopefully the book I've chosen for today is better. I will only tell you what it is if it is better. Yeah, other than that, I'm just cross-stitching today. I'm hung up on the Stardew Valley cross-stitch, and I'm doing a little bit of gaming, so I'm switching between the two. It is way too warm today. We have 38 degrees, though it doesn't feel as bad as the first time around that we had these temperatures, which is weird. It feels wrong. It's just yeah, everything is just going wrong. I don't know. Also, I cut my hair shorter again. I don't know. I'm unhappy with my hair. I can't cut it shorter than this by myself. I don't think it's a bad length. I actually I think it's okay, but I don't like my hair at the moment, which is annoying. Like, I like the color, but I hate how it looks, whatever I do with it. So yeah, don't know how to fix that, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know, the heat is not helping. So yeah, I will now do more cross-stitching. I can't show you how it's looking right now because it's wrapped up so I can stitch on this part, but I only have 1% till I have a fourth of the piece done, which it still doesn't look like it. But yeah, so I'm trying to at least get that 1% done, and then I might do some gaming, and then we'll see. I don't know, my head isn't in it this week. I'm feeling too emotional this week without a good reason for it, which is kind of annoying. So yeah, I will see you tomorrow, hopefully in like a better headspace, and hopefully with a good romance, and the next 2 short stories of the Brandon Sanderson collection. Welcome back. It is way too warm still. Also, today is very, very humid, which makes the heat even worse. So yeah, excuse the look, I'm looking rather done with the day, to be honest. Yeah, this is how the hair is looking now. I'm thinking about like cutting it even shorter. I don't know. I'm so unsure about the hair, but it feels a lot like fuller and lighter on my head, which is kind of nice. Still not totally sure about short hair, but it is better than my last experience at like 13. I did quite a lot of reading of these short stories. I need to look the names up. I read three. Defending Elysium, Firstborn, and Mitosis. So, oh my god. So Firstborn was really interesting. That is about nurture versus nature, the whole debate, and it is about two siblings who are like 20 years apart. One is the clone of the other, and the first one has like gone off the rails in like this like sci-fi empire, and he is like the highest of the army, and he is like the guy who's like doing all of the fighting, and his younger brother, the guys whose POV we have, is like feels like an incredible failure because he just can't do it. He's just not a good admiral in the fleet, and yeah, at some point he has to face his brother. Really interesting. I do like the discussion about nurture versus nature, which I also did like Brandon Sanderson's retrospect of using suicide as a plot point, which I thought was really nice of him to like talk about that at the end, because it is a point in the story, and it is because of the time in that the story was written, which is also what he is saying. But yeah, he talks a little bit about it, which I found was really nice. And then we have Mitosis, which is like a superhero story. If I'm gonna be honest, it's not something I'm super interested in. I'm not super duper of a superhero fan. Like, I've watched the Marvel movies, you know, I've watched the movies, and I read a couple of comics, but I enjoy them, but it's not like that I'm really into them. So that story was fine. It's also not super long. So yeah, it's a superhero story about about abilities that you don't hear often about, which is interesting. But like, it's still a superhero story. And then we have Defending Elysium, which Defending Elysium is like kind of going into the whole humans being the destroyers in the universe instead of like aliens coming to us and giving us a hard time, it being the other way around. It's one of his really early short stories, which I thought it was fine, but it didn't really get me. I don't know. It was one where I'm like, oh yeah, fine that I read it, but it's not something I would like seek out. Because it's just mainly, you know, about how far can you go in defending something that you think is worthy of defending, and when are you the evil. Yeah, so now I only have one story left, which is, wait, which is called Moment Zero. It's the last story in here, and it is a pretty hefty short story, so I wouldn't say it feels like more like a novella than a short story. So that is what I will be reading tomorrow, and then we will have finished this one, which is a super interesting collection. It feels more focused on sci-fi, so if you like sci-fi, go with that. Also, it reads a lot better than Skyward, which I'm kind of surprised about. Skyward didn't leave me with like a super good impression of the sci-fi that Brandon Sanderson can write, so it might just be the coming of age part of Skyward that I didn't like more than the sci-fi aspect of it. But yeah, super happy with the progress on that book. I did also read a romance yesterday, but I did a reread because yeah. I needed a good romance that I knew I would like, and I finished it today. That is How to Flirt with a Hellhound, I think is the title, and it's about a supernatural romance author who writes relatively dark romances also. And his hellhound neighbor who tries torture methods on the people he kills for, like, to impress the human. And the human has a stalker, and so the hellhound goes into protection mode. And it's a really sweet story. I'm thinking about rereading the whole series. I liked the first 4. I struggled with the 5th, but I'm thinking now that I have more experience reading romance, maybe I will give the 5th one a try again, because there's a 6th one coming out, and I do know that I like the first 4, so it might be worth reading it completely again. So that is probably what I will be doing, because then I know I will enjoy the book that I will be reading. And as I have been struggling with the romances that I've been choosing, I think going back to ones I know I love and rereading them is kind of worth it for me. So yeah. Other than that, I don't have much progress to show you with the cross-stitching and stuff. I will do that tomorrow before we finish the vlog off. And yeah, that is kind of all for today. I will now put my oh, is it called a ventilator in English? I have like this like desk fan. I will put the fan back on because I had to, like, it's too loud if I want to film something. So yeah, I will put that back on. I will have a little bit of a snack and I will do some gaming. And then a little bit more cross-stitching, knitting, whatever I get up to on a Friday afternoon, evening. Not much, you know, but doing the things I love is worth it. So yeah, I will see you tomorrow. Okay, we have reached the end of the vlog. I finished Tailored Realities. The last story is one that feels kind of classical, but it was also very well done. It is the only story that was explicitly written for this book, which I thought was nice to have like the longest one be like kind of the centerpiece of the book and have like something old and something new in the same story collection. It is one of those, there's like one moment in time where something is happening and you have cops both sides of the timeline running towards this point in time, trying to stop it from happening. And that is what the story is, without like any major spoilers. So yeah, an interesting story, also sci-fi. So yeah, this is definitely, I mean, I feel like the book looks like a mixture of sci-fi and fantasy, but it is pretty much only sci-fi, more or less. But I really enjoyed it. This is a 4-star read for me. There were a couple of the stories were like, you know, that weren't like, oh my god stories, but I felt like the majority were really solid, good stories. And really interesting from like the topics of the stories. So yeah, would definitely recommend this story collection if you like short story collections, obviously. But yeah, it was a really good read. I'm really happy that I read it. I'm happy that I bought it. I wasn't too sure. I didn't look into it when I saw it in the bookshop. It has to be now like half a year ago or something. I just saw that it was a short story collection by Brandon Sanderson I didn't own, and I was like, you know what, let's take it with me. And I had no idea what was in this book, and I'm really positively surprised by it, so I'm really happy. And this is now the first book that I finish in August, because we do have August 1st today. But yeah, other than that, I did not finish another romance, but I did read half of the second book of the Hellhound series, so How to Hack a Hellhound, I think. I really enjoyed that series. The first one that I finished yesterday is obviously a 4-star, and I'm really enjoying the second one as well, which is about the Hellhound that is a hacker, and Q, which is a guy they rescued in the first book, and they fall for each other. And they try to dismantle a trafficking ring. So they do all of the Hellhound books have like an overarching story that is interconnected between the books. And in this one, they try to destroy the sex trafficking ring that they found in the first one, where Q was abducted by one of the guys in the ring, and Dexter, the main character of the first one, killed the guy that kept him captive and then rescued Q. And yeah, so good read. I'm only halfway through, I think, because I did do a lot of cross-stitching yesterday, so I went to bed a little bit later. So let me give you an update for the cross-stitching. I did quite a bit of progress with this piece, which is called The Birth of Venus. I don't know if I ever said that. By, oh, I've forgotten her name. I'm gonna put the name on screen because she does lovely art. I really like her art style, so, but Chrysabuck. Birth of the Venus by Chrysabuck is the piece name. So yeah, I did continue with it. This is the full width of the piece. Annoyingly, there should have been the same space on both sides, so I miscounted, which is a little bit annoying. But I think there's enough space on the side so I can finish it off once I am finished with this piece. But yeah, I think it looks really lovely. It is a nice piece to work on, and I do enjoy like doing like my 300 stitches a day, which makes it like a year and a half till it's finished, roughly. And then what I'm currently still working on for today is the Stardew Valley piece, which looks like this at the moment. You can really see it coming together now. I did a lot of the yellow spaces, which is just the earth color with Stardew Valley. So I did a lot of that, and then a lot of the earth color, which is like the side profile of cliffs and stuff. And yeah, so did quite a bit. I am over the 25% now, so we have more than a fourth of the piece done, which is really lovely. But yeah, so that is what I'm working on, what I will continue with today, because it is the afternoon. I still have a little bit of the day left. And then I did also continue with my knitting. I don't even know if I've shown you this yet. I cannot remember, if I'm gonna be honest, but I'm doing a mesh raglan sweater, pretty much, which it's looking like this because I'm just doing a normal knit fabric with like way too big needles for the yarn, so it leaves like this really like airy fabric, and I am pretty much like here, so I have this much of the sweater done. I am going by vibes. There isn't like any pattern or anything. I'm just going by vibes and what I've learned about knitting so far, and it is working out, so you know, there's nothing to worry about with this. It's just a lot of stockinette knitting and increasing and yeah, doing a classic raglan. I really enjoy this yarn. It is a cotton linen blend, I think, which will be super nice for summer and spring and autumn. So yeah, I'm not far with that because I still have some pain in my pinky finger, and I kind of use that when knitting, don't know why, but yeah, that means that I sometimes have pain when I knit, so I can only knit a tiny bit at a time, which makes that obviously a lot slower. But yeah, when it comes to the apartment, I did not finish the hallways. I did roughly half of them, and then I did half of the bedroom. So I did a whole room technically, but I did like half of both because I got sidetracked by the bedroom. And so then I tackled part of that, and yeah, I will just need to tackle the other half of the hallways and the other half of the bedroom next week, and then I'm all caught up with getting the chaos that is my apartment under control, which it's not even that chaotic, but it is chaotic in my mind. So yeah, I think that is all. So yeah, the reading has been, well, the physical reading has been great this week, and the romance reading has, you know, obviously been great once I picked a book I already knew I liked. But yeah, I'm still searching for like new romances. I am in the market for a dark romance where the darkness is outside of the couple, the main couple. Like, I don't mind a morally grey character, but I hate when the darkness is like missing consent between the couple or something like that. I just want, I don't know, maybe killing outside of the couple. Like, the couple can be involved, but I don't want them to be fighting or misunderstanding each other or being non-consensual with each other. The rest that is allowed to be dark. But yeah, that is kind of what I'm searching for, and I have a hard time finding that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this week's vlog. I did certainly enjoy doing it, and this week has also been, it has been emotionally difficult, but like I did achieve all of the things I wanted to achieve, so I'm happy with that. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!